Hey, what's up guys? My name is Jason Schmaltz and I'm an AMGA single pitch instructor. And today I'm going to show you how to clean a top rope anchor and then rappel back down to the bottom. Today we're actually doing this on the ground, kind of simulating what this would look like on the crag. And I have a skills board that mimics what you'll see at the top of a crag for an anchor system. So normally at the top of a crag you'll have two anchors similar to these. With some variation of rings or chains or something like that. And then you can see I've assembled one of the three top rope anchor systems that we've highlighted in a previous video. This being the most simplest one. So you can see I have both anchors carabinered in to a master point and then two carabiners on my top rope. So imagine that I just climbed this climb on top rope. And now I want to disassemble this and get back to the ground safely. So the very first thing I want to do as the climber when I get ready to disassemble an anchor system is clip my own self into the anchors with my personal tether. Okay, so you want to have two for this job. That's just what makes it the easiest. Okay. So these are these are 60 centimeter slings that are girth hitched to my harness. I normally recommend having one girth hitched on the belay loop and one girth hitched on the climber's loop. In this video I've done both on the belay loop just so that they can reach a little further and I can show you everything that's going on. So once I'm clipped in, I feel safe. I can ask my belayer to give me some slack just so I can test that I no longer need to have my weight on this top rope, but I can now have my weight on these anchors. And once I feel confident that, okay, I don't need my weight on this anymore, I can go ahead and tell my belayer to take me completely off belay. So I'm no longer protected through this climber's rope. The next thing I want to do is go ahead and disassemble the top rope system. So I will disassemble from the bottom. And as I unclip from the anchors, one kind of trick as you disassemble and assemble things on these anchor systems is you don't want to drop stuff. So even though I have one clip still clipped in on the top rope anchor system, I want to go ahead and clip into my climber's belt with the other one, so that if I do drop the top rope anchor system, it just drops, you know, down to my waist. It doesn't drop all the way to the ground. And now I'm ready to get my rappel set up because I've now cleaned everything off the anchor system except for obviously my personal anchors. So before I untie the climber's rope from my harness, I want to pull about 10 or 15 feet of slack and then tie an overhand on a bite. And it doesn't have to be anything beautiful or tight, and clip that to my belt. And the only purpose for this is not going to support any weight. This is just in case I accidentally drop the climber's rope as I'm finagling it through these two rings. It doesn't go to the ground and then I'm up here with no rope and no way down. Okay, so now I can go ahead and tie or untie my figure eight follow through knot from my belt and untie it completely. And I want to pass this rope now through the two anchors. These anchors can be any kind of variation of chains or links. Sometimes you can fit the rope through before you untie it, but I just like to show this method because it fits all cases. So I'll pass the rope through and I can go ahead and pull it a little bit. And before I get too far ahead of myself, I want to go ahead and tie a close-in or shut-in knot on this end of the rope that helps both when I'm rappelling, that I don't rappel off the rope, but also helps that the rope is not going to pass back through and fall to the ground when I untie this other loop of rope. So any knot will do. You can do an overhand on a bite, but I recommend a barrel knot at the end of the rope. So it's just kind of like 3 loops and then an overhand kind of finish. And doesn't even need to be super beautiful, just a kind of wide spot in the rope that I won't be able to rappel off of. And now go ahead and pull the rope through to this point, and now to continue pulling the rope I need to untie this knot, and I can continue to pull the rope through. And I would pull this rope until I got to the halfway point, so that I know that both ends of the rope are going to hit the ground. For the sake of this video, I'm going to just pull it a little bit, and then as you pull it through the halfway point and you have a bunch of rope on this side, you can toss the rope to the ground. Rope, and now I have my 2 strands going through the anchors that I can now rappel off of. Okay, and now the next thing I want to do before I come off personal tether is go ahead and get my rappel set up. I like to recommend an extended rappel for a couple reasons, and I like to use a 120 centimeter sling to do that. So the way I like to do this, and I would normally pre-assemble this on the ground, but I will show it to you here now, is I take a 120 centimeter sling, okay, and I pick one end that will be attached to my belt, and I tie an overhand kind of like halfway between the halfway point and the end. So like kind of, or maybe a third of the way up, somewhere like that. Not quite halfway is the point. Okay. And again, I want to kind of make this a somewhat well-dressed knot. Okay. Alright. I guess I ended up making that a little bit closer to halfway than I thought. So let me just move it down a little bit. And there we go. Okay. So you can see I got this kind of 1/3 of the sling here and 2/3 of the sling here. So the short third I want to go ahead and girth hitch to my belay loop. You could also do your climber's loop, but I prefer the belay loop. And then my ATC that I'm going to rappel on is going to go between my harness and that knot. And that knot is kind of like a hard point in that sling now, and nothing is going to be able to go past it. Okay. And then on the far end of this sling, I like to almost set up like another personal tether. Okay, and you'll see how this will come in handy in a minute. But I'll go ahead and clip that, actually just to not have too much going on that one ring. I'll clip that up there. There's a million ways to do this. Some people will have a fancy way that they connect this personal tether to that one or whatever. I like to have the rappel set up completely separate from my personal tethers. You can tell which one are personal tethers and which one is a rappel line or extended rappel. They're different colors, they're different lengths, everything's separate, okay? So I kind of just like that from an organizational standpoint. There are other ways to do it, but that's how I prefer it. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my ATC on the rope. Before I do that, I go ahead and just clip in my carabiner here so I don't have to mess with it, okay? Better to mess with less things so you don't accidentally drop something. And then take my ATC and pass both strands of rope. Get this so you can just see it. Both strands of rope or bites of rope into the ATC. Okay, so you can see I have that. Good. And then clip onto my extended rappel, lock, and that's ready to go. And go ahead and pull this tight. Before I get ready to rappel, I need to attach what's called a third hand. And I highly recommend that you do this. You never know what's going to happen on a rappel, and this third hand backup will protect you. So this is a This is a hollow block from Sterling. Other companies make similar things. You can also just use a Prusik loop. But you can see I have another carabiner just attached directly to my belay loop. Okay, and I'm going to clip the hollow block to that carabiner and come underneath my ATC Rappel and wrap 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So you can see 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and then clip back on the carabiner, lock. And what this will provide is if I accidentally let go of the rope or lose control, this will engage and grab the rope and not let me fall. Okay. So now I do what I was saying before, is go ahead and get my weight onto the Rappel like that. Okay. And now I can transfer my weight from the personal anchors or personal tether to the Rappel and unclip. And even though I have my weight on my personal Rappel, my extended Rappel, you can see I'm still backed up by this. So before I unclip this one, I still want to test my weight, make sure I feel completely comfortable. I can even rappel down a little bit just to make sure everything's working properly. And now, before I go, the last step is that I'll unclip this final tether. And I can go. And it's important that you make this longer, and you can see why, because if it was shorter, I wouldn't be able to clip it to my belt. I'd have to clip it up here and get kind of messy. And now I can lower. And you lower on a Rappel just like you would lower somebody in the climbing gym. You just make this angle less perpendicular, and you can feed rope through it. Okay? Okay, I hope that was helpful for you. Once you get to the bottom, you would just disassemble this, untie the knot, pull the rope through, and then you'd be off to your next climb. I hope this was helpful and gave you an idea of how to clean and rappel off a top rope anchor, and I'll see you at the next video. Thanks.